Coworker in HR, 30SF, with me, 24F. She told an employee not affiliated with HR about my confidential sexual harassment case. I had an extremely rough time at work back in July 2017 at work. I was working in a very unpleasant, hostile work environment with a coworker, Tom, who would not stop making inappropriate and vulgar advances towards me. I took the right steps, told him explicitly to leave me alone, stopped talking to him outside of work, and elevated the situation to HR and documented everything. During this time, I made it clear so many times to HR that I wished to keep everything confidential, and they promised me again and again that they would. There were 2 HR employees helping me with this issue, the head of HR, James, and the person I refer to in my title as Jessica. She's the one I confided in initially, and she was my main point of contact with dealing with the sexual harassment. This past week, I found out that she has a very close friendship with another coworker who works in our labs. We are a STEM company. He has absolutely no affiliation with HR and therefore had no business knowing about my case. I don't wish to disclose how I found out this information, but please believe me when I say I am 100% sure she has told him about my sexual harassment. I don't know how many details she told him. I just know she told him I filed the case. I am livid, as she decided to be open about my identity in the situation, but chose to conceal the identity of the coworker, who is sexually harassing me. I am also embarrassed. It already took me so much mental and emotional energy to bring it up with HR and make an official claim against Tom. Jessica is actually leaving the company for personal reasons at the end of the month. Is there anything I should do? Should I confront her? Should I bring it up with the head of HR? I am at a loss for words, and I feel extremely violated. Any words of advice are greatly appreciated. Note: I didn't know where to stick this in with my post, so I'm going to stick it at the end. I should make it clear that Jessica does have a history of not keeping information confidential. I'll list several cases. 1. A co-worker of mine, Terry, has told me that she confided in Jessica about a problem Terry was having with her manager. Terry did not wish to escalate it to the head of HR, and Jessica knew this, but decided to go ahead and blow everything out in the open and not only inform head of HR, but Terry's manager as well. 2. I had confided in Jessica it was a personal matter, lesson learned, I shouldn't have done this, that my mom had just gotten cancer right around the time I was dealing with Tom. The very next day, the head of our HR, James, came to me and talked to me about my mom. I was uncomfortable to say the least, but I didn't feel it was warranted to complain about. Important edit. I just now realized that I didn't give enough context to my situation. I understand that if James were an absolutely ethical HR guy, there is no doubt in my mind that the right move would be to report to him. However, my company can be very toxic, and a lot of personal boundaries are crossed at work. I know James and Jessica are very close friends. I am also uncomfortable with the fact that when Terry tried to resign, James flat out denied her resignation and got the CEO involved to basically manipulate her into staying. WTH should I do? TLDR. Coworker in HR does not keep confidential information to herself. What can I do? Relevant comments. Am a better no. It's terrible your confidence was betrayed in this way. Sadly, HR isn't really there to help you. Their first duty is to protect the company. That does mean upholding their legal duty to prevent workplace harassment, which may often align with your interests, but won't always. So, I guess my only advice is make sure you have your own independent counsel if you don't already. I wish I remembered the details of this, but I think I've heard of a service that all U.S. lawyers are required to participate in that offers low-cost initial legal consultation. But I'm sure others know more about specific resources that would be useful to you. Anyone? OOP. I agree with you 100% that HR's only responsibility is to protect the company, which is why this situation isn't as cut and dry. Technically, what Jessica did was wrong, but my management has been known to cross professional boundaries. And we are a relatively small company, so there's extra kindling to the fire. Tom P. 222. HR professional for a large, well-known Canadian company here. It would absolutely be appropriate to escalate this to the head of HR. HR professionals have a duty to maintain confidentiality, especially when it comes to complaints and internal investigations. At my company, We are even pretty conservative about sharing information within HR, let alone with other departments or employees. If Jessica did share this confidential information, you may want to consider filing a complaint against her. Just as I am sure you were given the confidentiality spiel in any investigation meetings, she is expected to maintain confidentiality as well. You may not want to go this route, though, as she is already quitting, and there may not be anything to accomplish down this path. Long story short, you are 100% in the right for feeling betrayed by this person. In her role, she has a duty surrounding confidentiality, and I can't think of a situation in which someone not at all connected to the investigation should be privy to this information. One tip, if you're going to escalate this to the head of HR, decide ahead of time what your expectations are. What needs to happen here to restore your feeling of comfort and safety in the workplace? He should ask you that, so you should be prepared. Good luck. Yeah, that's the kind of conversation I had with HR during the sexual harassment. The most obvious answer at the time was that Tom and I don't work on projects anymore, or better yet, fired. But now, with all of the new things I've been hearing about my company, I just don't know what actions I could suggest to HR to make me feel like I'm in a safer environment. Jessica is universally adored at my company, coupled with the fact that management has known to be pretty shady. There's no one I can trust. Tom P. 222. If that is the case, perhaps you should start looking for new opportunities. No one should work somewhere where they don't feel safe in the workplace. If you don't feel management/HR will support you, it may not be the right place for you. My one piece of advice is at least give HR or management a chance to help you. Most people genuinely care, and sometimes, I can only speak from my experience, management is made to be a villain a bit. Most people are good and want to do the right thing. If it doesn't work, continue to look for another opportunity, and when you find that great opportunity, do an exit interview and cite this incident and the mishandling as your reason for leaving. Update, July 14th, 2018, 7 months later. I'm always reading updates, and I'm always in awe at how much support people are willing to give, and I'm so glad to have been on the receiving end of that support, so thank you. When I initially made the post, I was way too scared to actually leave my company, but reading all of the advice and generally shocked/angry responses really made me evaluate my situation. It's been about 5 or so months since my last post, and I always love a good update, so here goes. About 3 months or so after I had found out HR was leaking details about my sexual harassment, a co-worker completely unrelated to my team/work came up to me and had told me that my manager was telling her he was unhappy with my work performance. This was not in any sort of professional setting/purpose/meeting. They were having a conversation as friend to friend. I had known he was dissatisfied with my performance for some time, as we had talked about it, but what really angered me was, again, that toxic culture where employees share information to other employees who are not privy to that information. I was especially disgusted because my manager had given me the most support during my sexual harassment. That was definitely my last straw, and that's when I started looking to get the hell out of Dodge. During my job search, I started realizing how underpaid and unappreciated my work was. There was no room for growth. As of today, I've signed a new offer letter with a 45% salary increase from my current pay, great benefits, good title, and work that actually interests me with opportunities for actual mentorship. Of course, I won't burn any bridges with my current company. I'm going to tie up my work, hand off what I need to, and make it as smooth and professional of an exit as possible. I want to thank you guys again for all the advice you have given me. It took a while for me to come around, but I finally did it. And I'm excited to move upward and onward. I feel oddly sad, guilty even. It almost feels like leaving an abusive relationship. I felt guilty for wanting to leaving for so long, so I put up with toxic coworkers, a hostile environment, and shitty pay for an extra 5 months longer than I had to. I feel free now, but at the same time I feel a little melancholy. Thank you all again. TLDR, I left the company.
Fuck yeah.
Final comments.
Dradir.
Once you've started your new job, you should absolutely post about this company on Glassdoor. Make everything as factual as possible. Don't add any speculation or personal feelings or name any names. Just, I left the company because HR did not handle my sexual harassment claim in a professional and confidential manner. Don't say toxic or use Jessica's name, just that. OOP. About 10% of the employees have left in just 6 months. I think I'd be safe leaving a somewhat vague, but nonetheless bad review of the company. Smiley face. BADGRRL. Congratulations. And as an added suggestion, if you haven't already had an exit interview, if they're even going to offer one, or if the interview is with HR and so pretty useless for what I'm about to suggest, maybe a letter to the top brass, owner, CEO, board, etc., detailing all of the information from your original post, and the follow-up here to explain in explicit detail why you're leaving. That's what exit interviews are for, supposedly, and if that's not going to be helpful, then a letter after you've left and gotten settled in a new job could help someone in the future. OOP. I was thinking about what I want to say during my exit interview. I'm still scared to leave an honest account of what happened. I'm worried it won't do much, and it'll just make me look bitter. BADGRRL. Write it like you did here. Clinical, professional, as objective as possible, but brutal in clarity and honesty, with as much supporting evidence as you've got. It's one of the reasons I honestly recommend writing it and mailing it to top brass after you're gone. Watery opulence. Good for you. Did you already hand in your resignation? I'm curious if they will try and manipulate you to stay. OOP. I was wondering that myself. No, I'm handing in my 2-week notice on Monday. I'll let you know what shenanigans they try to pull on me.